Good afternoon, and welcome to this installment of Collective Conversations, our roundtable series that brings community voices, business insight, and real world issues together, featuring guest speakers each session that inspires growth, connection, and practical solutions for everyday life. Today, our special guest. First, we have Miss Cianna Moore.
Cianna.
Oh, I'm sorry.
It's all right.
Cianna Moore, founder and president of Just a Bunch of Felons Incorporated. Ms. Moore is the inspiring founder and president of Just a Bunch of Felons Incorporated, a nonprofit dedicated to helping formerly incarcerated individuals successfully reintegrate into society. Join us as Cianna shares her powerful story, her passion for advocating for second chances, and how the organization is making a difference. Also, accompanying her, we have Miss Jamie Basham, who is a community outreach navigator at Just a Bunch of Felons Incorporated and a loving mother. Hello, how are y'all doing today?
How y'all doing?
Hey, I'm doing good.
We'll just start off. We'll start here. Could you just tell us about a little bit about yourself and your organization?
All right, yeah. So my name is Cianna Moore.
I'm sorry.
It's all right. I am the president at Just a Bunch of Felons Incorporated. I'm also the founder. I'm from here in Beckley. I have my ups and downs, and that's what inspired me to do this.
Mhm.
And I'm just grateful to be here another day, to be able to express and show people what we actually do.
What about yourself?
My name's Jamie. I'm from Shady. Just trying to get out in the community and help people get help. Hopefully people will reach out. I'm a recovering addict. I'm just trying to help people realize that there is help out there and it can be done.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we thank y'all for coming. So just to get started a little bit, because you kind of going over your history a little bit. But Ms. Moore, you're kind of young when it comes to it. So tell me how a young person like yourself comes up with definitely a foundation, a nonprofit foundation called, Just a Bunch of Felons Incorporated. Tell me that.
Okay, well, it starts off with personal experiences, coming from where I come from, just seeing how the justice system works against people that are like me now. I am a convicted felon, and people in my family are too. So just watching how they are treated at, within the time frame of them going to court and then having to come home and they send them home with nothing, and having to get back on their feet, how hard it is. So that's what inspired me to start this nonprofit.
Yeah, because like I said, I've seen you out, actually, at events as well. And, I would never, because, starting a nonprofit now, you kind of know.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say difficult, but there are different, things you have, barriers you have to fight against, but definitely your cause is one of the things that, kind of comes to the forefront. But with you, like I said, being out there, that's a lot of the battle, as you see, just getting out there and doing it, right? And then you meet amazing people like Ms. Bassam, right? And then it makes it worthwhile to see that, it can extend further and further, right? Tell me just a little bit, and then we can go on and talk to Ms. Basham. Tell me a little bit about, how you've been reaching out as far as like, when you first started, right? Because I'm sure that you faced a lot of.
Well, I faced a lot of backlash just
Right.
because of the name. Just a bunch of felons. When they heard felons, it was either we want to see what they're doing, or they're like they're just pushing away from it.
Right.
So just starting out, it really wasn't that hard for me actually, because Rodney Sorrell, he actually reached out to me. He was like, I wouldn't mind doing, what we're doing right now, and just try to get get it out there. I've been doing it for about a year actually, just going out and helping in the community. I just was doing it out the kindness of my heart, and I was like, you know what, if I could get a movement out of this thing, and get with everybody in the community, and we could all stand together and fight against this stigma that the recovering addicts and the people that are coming home from prison, they're facing the same thing. If we could do it together, we could build something. So.
I think it's phenomenal. I do, because like I said before, it's just one of those things, like you said, nonprofit work is definitely hard, only because sometimes, getting the help you need, sometimes just you, and I'm sure that's how it started, right?
Yeah, it did.
Just you. And that's the thing. So tell me how, Ms. Basham, how do you all connect?
So Rodney had he asked me to come up to the Day Report Center,
Right.
and to speak to them and just try to get some people on board with what we're doing. So I went up there and I threw my pitch, and Jamie was the first application I had received, and I had received over 25 applications, but she stuck through the whole time, consistent. She never missed an appointment. We helped her get a job. Like we've been there for the whole way, even with the letters, the recommendation letters that we have to do for her, so that she can, continue on
Right.
her journey.
Right.
So, but yeah, we met her at DRC.
Wow. So tell us a little bit about your journey with Just a Bunch of Felons.
We met at DRC, and right away I knew it was something like I've been, wanting to give back and help people, and where I've experienced it, I felt like it would be good for me, and it would help that they know I've been through it and I came out on the other side.
Right.
So I felt like I could help people, and that was a way. When I met Cianna, it was a way to help get me out there, because I didn't really know how to navigate that, how to get through it and get out and meet people and try to help people and things. So when I met her, it was just, we kind of hit it off as friends. So it's been more of a friendship. That's helped a lot, and just she's helped me so much, and just the support and just a way to figure out how to get out there and help people. And it just makes me feel so good to be able to give back.
I think, across the board, when you see that, just like people trying to, do something for the betterment of people. I mean,
Right.
it's a big thing. I mean, in whatever avenue it is,
Yeah.
kids, adults. I mean, because I think, one of the stigmas is you start to face is the fact that, some people are parents that become, that get in trouble with, with law enforcement or whatever, but then they figure out, their kids sometimes are separated from them.
Right.
But, I always say, but the kid still needs raised. Even when but what happens is sometimes a person may feel so guilty that they miss years.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But they now they're 16.
Right.
They need to be raised the same. You know what I mean? And what I mean by the same is, you can't, you have to kind of navigate it in a way where you can't just give them everything just because you've been away.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And of course, you're going to, kind of build rapport. But that's what you build rapport with people as well.
Yeah.
I mean, because sometimes, they grow and they become different. And that's the thing, and Ms. Moore, when I look at you, I remember, it dawns on me. You're I don't know if you're a former rapper or.
Yeah.
And I never, but see, when I always knew you was real quiet, and maybe you're not. But when I was like, I think we were at an event. I mean, I didn't, a year and a half ago. I'm like, they said she was getting ready to go over and rap. But the only reason why I mention that is because I know sometimes we're hard on it. All right, we sometimes are, even on here, sometimes we're hard on a certain type of rap, right? But but it's not the type of rap you rap, but the fact that you did do that. Did that kind of resonate with you coming out and being because apparently when you go up there, you can't have any fear. I mean,
you can.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's why I said, but she rap. But did you kind of incorporate some of that into some of the work you're doing now, as far as getting out there now? Because I mean, that's a lot of it too.
Well, yeah, a lot of people knew who I was, but the crowd that I had when I was doing the rapping was the people that I was trying to, get out here and show that we're here. I'm trying to let people know that are in, superior positions that. People like me can also change from those words that I used to be speaking on them videos, now has turned to, hey, we ain't doing that no more,
Well, see, but and I don't really remember what what you had rapped about that night, but it's funny you say that because it's like, it does have a big impact, and it's not a knock on, I don't think it's a knock on rap, because a lot of it is what's called folklore, right?
Mm-hmm.
When we speak and talk about stories. Well, a lot of times we talk about the stories we see
You're right.
every day.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that's the thing. And it's not and you, like you said about the environment.
Yeah.
I think a lot of times it's environment as well, but breaking that cycle is something you're doing. And I commend you for that. I really do. Because I mean, it's a lot of great people have made some mistakes,
Yeah.
right? And sometimes in society, that's all you need to do is one, and then it's over. And it's not over though. That's why I said that. So tell me some of the programs that you've put in place as far as, because I see you because I follow you. We follow you. So a lot of resources you link people to, getting out, you need resources. Tell me a little bit about those.
Well, I got the financial literacy program starting up in April. I do my CPR classes that I offer for free to people that are facing justice impacted barriers. We are starting, it's going to be called the Purpose to Pathways Initiative. And that's where we're going to be giving handouts to people with lists and lists of resources that we have.
Good.
Pointing them to advocates, people that's going to stand there, and go and root for them.
Right.
Job services. It is just so many different. We have so many different resources. It don't make no sense. Shout out to Seats, or they allow me to use their space anytime I need it.
That's good. And it takes that. I mean, it takes that. Do you find like some of these like partnerships you're doing now? Think about, because you say you've been doing it for years. So think about before that. I mean, like actually getting down. I mean, because that's a lot. I mean, I remember starting out with group of guys we started out with is some of the same sort of thing.
Yeah.
And sometimes it feels like, man, nobody's, what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But you're in such an industry where, people are just really wanting to know, how do you get out there, right? How do you get out there? Because I always think about, employment, right?
Yeah.
And that's one of the biggest things, people say they hire felons, but do they really hire them?
It's hard.
And then, that's the thing, and that we were looking that up today, actually, and it was something called federal bonding.
Mm-hmm.
That I'd never heard of before, right? I mean, it's just, another way to kind of ensure an employer if something did happen. But that's, because a lot of people don't know those things. So I think that was a good thing as well, just to see that. Have you been looking into certain things like that as far as your job positions? Not so much in just a bunch of felons Inc, but definitely out in the community to link people to.
Yeah, I mean, I done that to help myself. Like I said, so this is a learning experience for me too, and it took off quicker than what I thought it would.
Right.
So I have, because it's still hard for me to even get a job. I don't have everything together. People I still get the stigma that they get. So I'm still feeling like how they are. We just lifting each other up, basically.
Right.
But yeah, I look into it all the time, and it's like an everyday thing for me, just to try to see who, like you said, who's hiring felons really, who's really doing it,
Right.
Because like you said, you get up there, fill out the applications, tell them all your truth.
Yeah,
now they just know your business.
Yeah. but me and Mike, we work with a group of gentlemen as well. And some of them are, trying to be re-entry, right? And we teach them. There are certain things that employer can ask you, right? Yeah. And there's certain, but if you don't know that, you give them all the information, and then all they doing is saying, I'm not going to, okay. Let's just get through this, you know what I mean? But there's certain things you can, it's not deceiving anybody, but everybody has rights, right?
Yeah.
I mean, they're not asking certain questions, right? So, I mean, when the question comes up, how to answer is a big thing.
Right, yeah, definitely.
I mean, Ms. Bass, I'll let you talk, but and I've told you this right beforehand, I'm not being funny, I've worked with, people with substance abuse issues for many years, right? Yeah. But I never met an addict, right? Because the reason why I say that, because when you say addict, I mean, it's a lot of times where they only think substances, but it's always a lot of, because it comes from an addiction, right?
Yeah.
But I mean, we've had people on talk about gambling, right? Yeah. There's all kinds of different addictions you have, right? Food. And that's the thing, right? Anything. But then when somebody says addict, they're only thinking one thing,
right?
Yeah. You know what I mean? They're only thinking substance abuse. That's all they're thinking, right?
Yeah.
And that, but there's so many different ones. Yeah. I mean, and that needs help, basically, is what I'm just saying. But it's the issues that we have, right?
Yeah.
That become the addictions that we have as well. I mean, some people just become substance abuse dependent only because of the things they're doing that's not even the substances.
Right.
You know what I mean? And so that's life, right, as well. So I mean, tell me a little bit about Ms. Moore. Tell me a little bit about the counseling part, because there has to be a part of it. Are you linking up with people? Because like I said, if not, I mean, let's get together and link up with some people that can help with that as well.
Right. Well, I actually need some extra resources on that, especially on the professional side of it. But when it comes to counseling, I feel like I do good at that without the title. Honestly, I'm like, because I leave my number open all night, 24 hours. Because I know how it is to be sitting up wanting to I'll turn back. I could call her and say, I'm having a bad day.
Right.
I want to be able to share those mutual. We got to be mutual with each other. And as long as we build a friendship instead of I said I'll call you a friend instead of a patient. I don't never treat a person like that, because that's what it is. So
because we just had someone on. I'm glad you said that because a lot of times when you say you have your phone line open, if somebody ever calls it, you may never talk.
Right.
If you understand,
Yeah,
they just unload. But
Yeah.
it's better to do that than to go and maybe keep it in your head and do something that you don't want to do. So it's just really about getting it out, and that's a lot of what I mean. No, no knock on therapists. They do a great job. Don't get me wrong, and they're professionals. Don't get me wrong, but a lot of times listening and do what's called active listening is a big thing.
Yes.
And it's a big thing that people need to. I mean, we as parents or relatives or whatever need to learn, because a lot of times we're not. Sometimes some of the parents are not, knocking them, but they're not very good active listeners when it comes to it. I mean, it's just what I say. I'm already mad at him.
Yeah.
I don't really want to hear what he got to say, but I'm gonna ask him, well, why? Which is another word. That's another thing that puts people on defense. Why would you do that? What I mean, or whatever. But it's just definitely different if you ask, what or how did you come up with this? You're gonna make them answer by that and not cornering them to say, well, I don't know, because that's usually what people say. I don't know why I did it, right? And I think a lot of times when you say about people who have been incarcerated, I think sometimes they do have a lot of time to think about those things. You know what I mean? About the why or whatever, or the what or how. And sometimes it's not even. People always think money, stuff like that. Sometimes it's not even that. It's not even that. It's other things, right? I mean, and I always, that's the scary part. If you see something in your life, and sometimes it becomes normal, even though it's really not normal. It's just normal what is the norm you see, not the norm that someone else see. And that, I think that's the same reason why it's not received well, because I can't, I don't relate to that. So I mean, so that's why I'm saying, but you may not relate to it, but sometimes somewhere down the line you relate to it. And somebody, I mean, let's get it right. I mean, people don't want to bring it up. I mean, like if somebody in your family's been in trouble, what I mean? I love my uncle to death, and he did over 40 years in prison.
Wow.
You know what I mean? Them all together, but love God. But I mean, sometimes it's tough. You know what I mean? Let's get it right. It's tough, and it didn't make me love him any less.
Right.
You know what I mean? It didn't. Definitely, I had compassion for the fact of what he was going through. Right.
Yeah.
But like I said, we talked about it the other day. You wasn't on here, but we talked about it the other day. It's so many things that people have, that they can't get out. Right, and they don't seek professional help in order to get it, and that's one of the problems because. We can talk to people and I'm glad they do call you, but eventually we're gonna have to probably go in and talk to somebody, right? Because it could be over, not so much over your head, but definitely things that because basically, but like we had a therapist on there talking is loading your toolbox up.
Yeah.
I mean, with things for you to use when she's not there or I'm not there or someone's not there is what it is, and that's a tough thing when but you got to be able to receive it too, right? So Ms. Basham, tell me this. So you said, you had substance abuse issues in the past. Tell me about the seeking of the help.
I think that was the hardest part. And I think it is for most people is it's hard to ask for help. It really is. And I think a lot of it too was I wanted to change, but I didn't think people cared about an addict. You know what I mean?
Right.
But it was not like that. It was not judgmental. When I finally did get the help, there was a lot of people, and there's a lot of help out there.
Right.
And I think, drug addicts don't really realize how much help there is out there and that it can be done. I was in it for 25 years and it can be done. And I just want to be an example of that, to be able to help people and show people that.
And when you say years, 25 years, that's a long time,
Yeah.
right? I mean, but it's like, time, it does fly by, but it's like being on this side of it. Sometimes you can't see it. I was just talking to some gentlemen there earlier today. Sometimes you can't see the other side until you have people with courage to come in and speak like yourself, right?
Exactly.
And Ms. Moore, to come in and speak, because that's the thing. There is another part to this.
Yes.
Young, getting in trouble, and a lot of times. So for me, for her speaking about it shows that listen, it's a lot of young kids headed down the wrong direction.
Right. Right.
You don't want to do that. It's a big thing out here when when you see that. I mean, like I said, it's hard when you have a felony on your record in order to do things. Now, the reason why I say that because this is why it's unique for you because you're in West Virginia.
Yeah.
Other states are progressing a lot faster than we are, and I'm just telling you they are. I mean, and that's well you familiar with it, North Carolina.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So I'm sure some of the things you've seen there. It'd be. I'm not saying it'd be impossible to bring them here.
but
it may be slow.
mhm.
But it can happen, but we have to do, have the right channels in order to do that. Because they started from somewhere too.
They had to.
Yeah.
And then not being funny, that that's known as the Bible Belt.
Yeah.
So it ain't like it's just
Yeah.
like, oh shoot, they so well, but it had to be something, to show, and give that, chance to those who have made mistakes,
Right.
should I say. And that's the thing, so doing it here is a big thing for me. To see you doing it here is a big thing as well. Because and not only here in Beckley, I'm talking about, because a lot of times, I'm not being funny. It's not to me, but I think it's a city, but West Virginia's kind of rural when it comes to, that's what they say, It's kind of like that. But, a lot of people have a lot of, different things that, and they don't know. Like there's still people that, read the newspaper. Nothing wrong with it. That's good. But, it's a whole internet on there.
Right.
You
Yeah.
can go anywhere. You know what I mean? You can do anything. We do it all the time, and stuff like that. But tell me about reaching out to other places like North Carolina and using some of the concepts that they've had and that work. Because I think that's the biggest thing. I'm not telling you advice. You know that.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's not, reinventing the wheel.
You're right.
It's already done there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's just really kind of, growing it or, whatever it may be.
And just trying to figure out like what their system was. So I reached out to a bunch of reentry programs and, just to try to see like what works for you guys that can work for us. Because like you said, like in bigger cities, they're more, willing to, to be proactive about stuff like this. And we're in a small town, so we still have people with just that stigma. Is this
Right.
a stigma,
Yeah,
that they have, that they perceive on people like me. So, I'm doing as much as I can at the end of the day, and being able to touch shoulders with as many people as I can, smile around people, be happy, be joyful,
You're right. I like that. Because but when you say that word joy, that comes from the inside. It doesn't come from the outside.
Yeah.
That's what, a lot of people don't really realize that, but it's, pretty much biblical when you say that. But the thing is, okay, so you go on to the different events, right?
Mhm.
You did it, year ago, starting out, but now you have a team, right?
Yeah.
How did that come about?
Well, just how Jamie, with Jamie, I start at people that were in these positions. That's the people I want to target because that's the only people that can help. People that's been through it. I can't have nobody up there talking about you need to quit doing this. If it's
Right.
good to hear it from somebody,
Of course.
But at the same time, I'm gonna have to have that conversation with somebody that's been through it and that made it out of it, not somebody that's still stuck there, and not somebody that ain't never been through it. You know what I'm saying? I keep saying this. It was a slogan that Justin had told me. He was like, "They don't care how much you know until they know how much you care."
That's
Right?
it.
Yeah.
That's
So I stick to that. I stick to that every day.
And I think that's good. So basically, so you getting out there, boots on the ground, right?
Mhm.
Doing the things you need to do. That's the kind of the validation that you need because that what you are doing it. What I mean? Not all because people and you'll run into this, and I'm sure, but don't ever let it deter you.
Right.
You'll have a lot of people talk a lot of things and say a lot of things,
Yeah.
but then you're like, shoot, but then they don't do it, and then it's okay. It's okay. The ones that will, the ones that won't, and that's okay.
It is. And I said, when I first started off, I'm telling you, there's so much hate that come behind it because now people want to pull my background, and I'm like, pull it because I'm proud to say that now.
Right,
At first, I used to be scared. I was scared, like I'm embarrassed, but I'm telling you, once you start going through those rocks and you finally come out on top, and you're like, I don't care what nobody got to say. I'm gonna tell it. Yeah, I've been in trouble. I've been in some deep trouble.
Right.
But at the same time, just as long as I feel like if I'm doing something to help a person to bring them out of their trouble,
right.
And even though I'm still battling my own, thing, if we could come out on top together, we could pull as many people as we can.
That's right.
Yeah. So.
And that's it. What'd you say, man?
Absolutely.
But that's the thing. It was like, when you say that. So, and you said, Beckley isn't very big, so we know that. So you seeing, definitely some either childhood friends or people right? How's that been as far as with them seeing you inspiring them basically?
Yeah.
To do this. And that's a big thing because, like I said before, while you may not see it now, it might not even be them; it's their kids.
It is.
You know what I'm saying? It's their
Yeah.
kids. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That break. So it's that's a big thing. I mean, weight on you, but it's not a bad weight. It's just one that, we have to understand that, you know what I mean? And we have to do the things that we're saying as well. Right. And you're doing those. And that's why I said that, that's why I wanted you on this to talk, a little bit about that. And things have even, been going even better now, right?
Yeah.
I mean, with those things as well. So then tell me about like some of the treatment. You got like, you have any partnerships with some treatment, for people to get treatment as far as like, well, just even resources. Because you said that, because you're going to be a resource hub, basically, is what you're going to be. I mean, other than the programs that you're going to, set forth, but you're going to be a resource hub. Tell me some of those if you have any.
Yeah, Valtex. I know that's the women's facility down in Mount Hope. I started with them. Courtney Settle. That's my girl.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Courtney and Trina. They welcomed me in, and we did what we had to do with Valtex. So they call me a lot, and I go out and speak with the girls. My cousin works down in Parkersburg,
right.
At I believe it's Recovery Point.
Okay.
So not exact partnerships, but
but definitely connections as far as what it is. I mean,
West Virginia Sober Living. I've been in connection with them. Like I said, Seed Sober. I love them so much. FMRS. We get out there on Thursdays. We might not make it every Thursday, but we go out there and we support them. DRC.
Right.
What was it's the sheriff's department? We went out to the You're Not Alone events that he has. I forget his name. He's a good guy. Atkins. Oh, he's a good guy.
Yeah, he's very passionate about it.
I think, but having you there, man, I'm telling you, having you there, we had Camp Elevate, and we had the police department come in, the fire department come as well, and we went there as well. I just don't think. Kind of breaking that stigma as well. There are good, good police officers, good. Just like there's good people out there. Don't
He's
get me
one
wrong.
of them. Yeah.
Exactly. I think the more we see that, the more we can start to, understand that this is these problems that we're having. Sometimes we're arguing with each other, but yet, we're not the problem. We're not, and that's the thing. Tell me about so the event, so the You're Not Alone event, right? Is that what's called?
Yeah.
Something I've seen it on. I've heard people that were doing seed sowing. Know was a big part of that as well. Justin, you said that he's a big part of that as well. And tell me a little bit about what was I going to say? Just a little bit about the I know your journey, right? Tell me, did you want to quit at any time?
All the time, every day, every time somebody break my heart, I'd be ready, like, you know what? This ain't even worth it. I call Lindsay all the time. That's the vice president. So we vent to each other, and I'm like, I only want to quit when I see somebody else quit. It brings me back down to where I was at one point in time. Like, what did I do to make them give up and relapse? What did I do to make them go back out there and catch this dope charge? What could I have done to prevent it? You get what I'm saying? But once, after a while, you start saying that you can't help everybody. As long as you can help somebody, that's all. That's all. That's all that matters.
You're right. No, it is true.
Right.
But and like you said before that happened, yourself.
Yeah.
Right. And making that change, right, and understanding that. So before just a bunch of felons Inc. Right. Before that, did you have any advisors kind of steering you in the right direction of your own life? See, and that. But I was saying this, and this is no knock to my parents, and I'm not saying it, but the other day I said, I never knew anything about credit. I had a credit card from college when I was a freshman, and I never used it until I was a senior because I didn't even know what it was. I really didn't. I didn't know you could. I didn't do it right. I went in there and bought PlayStation, but I was there. I ain't got no money, right? He said you can go in there and get. I'm telling you, I know. It's in the 90s. I'm like, hey, you can go in there. Because I like games, what I mean? I couldn't get, I ain't had no money, but I went in there, and pay them $20 a month, and you can get all these games. But anyway, what I was saying was, they didn't know anybody. My parents didn't know, and not knocking them, they just didn't, right?
Yeah.
So about like recovery and things like that as well, or, the life we lead, sometimes we don't know it, you know what I mean? And that's, and it's not, to me, it's not a shame on them, it's just the fact that we have to have things out here, like you said, get it right, like Just a Bunch of Felons, or like the Summit, or just different nonprofits that go out there and kind of speak about things that can change a person's life in a new avenue that they may have. And that's why I said it's great. I mean, really, and you just don't know it. But when you look back, I hope you look back and see, all the changes you've made. I mean, sometimes, like I said, there are disappointments. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
I mean, there are. I mean, but it's not for the fact of trying, though.
Yep.
It's just the fact that it does happen. And I don't blame, like I said before, even in the Bible, it talked about younger, being the leaders over top of the older.
Yeah.
So it's not so. And for you being young, don't get me wrong, but that's the thing. But even older people can become, oh man, you doing this and that. I mean, which is good. I mean, it can help them as well.
Yeah.
But getting out there, testimony, just telling your story is a big thing as well. So do you go to a lot of speaking engagements, or how? I mean.
No, not really. I'm actually focused on the people, the group that I have right now.
Right.
We take our applications. People know where to find us. I'm telling you, like word of mouth travels very far. So like my website is pinging every day, and I'm taking new patients. But no, I haven't been active within the last 2 months because I've been trying to stay focused on the people that I do have so that I can build a team out of them. You know what I'm saying? I was like, if I can build them up to bring them in as volunteers, then I have more people to help me do, go out and do more outreach.
Right.
I can't be everywhere at once, trying to run it alone and, so.
I think, so having a team is good.
Yeah. A team
Right.
is
It's good. Right. I mean, so, and then, so tell me, like, not decision making, I'm not saying that, but with this team, right? Are they coming up with innovative ways to kind of, grow just a bunch of felons?
Yeah. But Jamie does that a lot. Like she'll get with some of the girls. Like yesterday?
Yesterday.
She her and a few other girls went out and they're not even really, a lot of them are not even active in the program, but they want to do, hey, we're gonna go out and do, so she'll bring people out and take them to some of these events just to hand out flyers, let them know that there are people there.
And so tell me your title again.
Is that
Outreach community navigator.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's it. Good. I like that. I've never heard. That's why the navigator part is what I like. I never heard that, but that's a good thing as well. So you go out and kind of, talk to people as well.
Yeah. Just let them know that we're there and there is help available. Reach out, we'll get you into detox, rehab, whatever you want to do. If you're already out of rehab or detox or whatever, we'll try to get you a job, just whatever we can do to help navigate you to stay sober, to stay on the right path and, get our lives together. Life's hard enough, we just trying to help people and trying to do it together.
Yeah, and I think it's a good thing as well. I mean, I think we do. The only thing is, I'm just sitting here thinking, but, it takes money to do some of these things.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that's the only thing. So, a lot of, donations and things like that as well is definitely in order. And that's what I was saying to me about, as far as about, with events and stuff, as speaking and things, I seen that you were, you met her at the chamber.
Like Christmas.
Yeah.
Exactly. So I think that was a big thing as well.
Yeah.
I mean, getting out there to those things as well, I think is a big thing. Just like you said, putting your name out there as well. Tell me some of the future things you got or just kind of thinking about.
So we're definitely going to try to get in connection with you guys too,
Right,
but to try to navigate the children, because like you said, it starts off in the home. If absent fathers, absent mothers, it seems to trickle down, and I'm a prime example of that. It trickled down into the children, and we have to get a hold of them as well. So we're putting together some programs for kids and hoping to gain some partnerships with that.
I think that's good. I think you're right. I mean, I think it's something that we always speak about, but it's not, like I told you before, sometimes you don't know because you don't know. And then I'm not talking about her. You know what I mean? I'm talking about, just our elders and things like that. Sometimes you just don't know, but it's time to start, bringing it to the forefront, right? Not pointing the finger, not that, but just say, let's heal together. Let's grow together, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I think a lot of times it's like, you can't carry that either. And this is not, this is for me. You can't carry some of the things that have been done to you in the past. I'm saying it like it's easy. I didn't say it was easy.
Yeah.
I didn't say that. And sometimes it takes a professional to help, do these things, but we cannot move forward looking back.
That's right.
And that. I mean, and that's the thing. But a lot of times, guess what? When we talk about, people that's been incarcerated and have been in trouble, that's all everybody want to do.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's all they want to talk. They want to talk about 2019.
Yeah.
Right. This 26. So what are you talking about that for? But
Exactly.
but you have to look forward. You know what I mean? And while it's easier said than done, it can be done.
Right.
And that's why I keep saying that, you know what I mean? That, when you say about upbringing and different things like that, I mean, sometimes, a lot of our environment really weighs on us a lot.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean? And we just don't know the effects of what, is causing, you know what I mean? And you don't want to cause it, effect of, hurting your community or, your family or anything, but we do it. I mean, all the time. It's not, until we can, come to ourselves and think, hey man, I need to stop this.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And things like that. And I'm sure you all meet people, right?
Oh yeah.
That come along, right? I mean, so do you deal only with, you don't deal with only females though?
No, I'm out there with everybody,
Okay.
even men. I feel like for me being a female, having to sit down and talk to men, especially older men that have kids, I'm able to explain to them how a child can be hurt behind y'all's decisions. Not y'all's, but like their decision. I'm able to sit there and empathize with them about how our side of the hurt, and they're able to explain to me, well, this is why. I have those one-on-one conversations. I'm like, I'm gonna be the child, and you're gonna be,
Right.
the adult that you are, and I want you to explain to me how you would explain to your kid why you went through. Why you did what you did, and what was your change. And they'll do that, and then I will, we'll have like a conversation as if I'm the child, and we'll go over barriers with that. You get what I'm saying?
Right. What do you find sometimes they say?
Well, sometimes it's like childhood trauma. It's a lot of childhood trauma that they carry along with them.
Yeah.
And a lot of people can relate to that. You get what I'm saying? But like you said, let it out. And you can't have that dragging you forever, because it's a lot of people that's been through worse than me and have made it. You know what I'm saying? Like they've surpassed it. So we can't just hold on to that childhood trauma anymore. We're adults now, so be grateful that we're going to speak about it. We're going to try to figure out some way we can navigate it, and then we're going to push forward from there. And we're not going to talk about 2019 no more.
Well, that's it. You're exactly right. I'm all for that. I really am. I don't know. Older people. They come on, and I'm not talking about. I'm old. I'm 54. I'm old too. So I'm not saying, but I'm here to tell you, we have to let go of what somebody's done. Even myself. I'm not no angel either. I know that. You know what I mean? I'm just willing. I'm not willing to. I tell people, but I don't tell them in a way to where I'm glamorizing what happened at the back. I don't want them to go through that, right? I don't want them to do those things, and it's just one of those, because you can deceive the world and still be a terrible person.
Yeah.
Don't get it twisted. You know what I mean? Don't get it twisted, right? And then when you're not going back, I shouldn't go back to rap, but I'm gonna go back to it a little bit. But sometimes they portray a way, and they don't even want to live that way. You know what I mean? But you should never portray it. You shouldn't live that way, and it's definitely a conflict, I believe that they face. And it's not, that's just, what, only reason why I say that is because, I think a lot of times in society, that's what's pushed. Like, that's the one job you could be, you know what I mean? And to be, maybe brown skin, but it's not the only job. There's a lot of jobs you could be, right? And that's the thing that hopefully people can see, that, you can do all these different things, that you don't have to go that route, right? And then eventually you'll see that, sometimes working at McDonald's is going to be a lot better. I know how it feels, but if I had to go work at McDonald's, it is what it is.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean it's going to be my finishing job, but at least I'm working and I don't have to look over my shoulder or anything. Yeah. And I think that's a lot of it too. And I think a lot of jobs now are, kind of helping with that. But let's say it with restaurant work is taxing.
Yeah.
If you ever done it, it is taxing. It is. So definitely jobs where, like I said, for getting out, outreach, different things like that are a good thing, as far as that goes. So, Ms. Basham, you said you're from the Shady area, right? Yeah. Tell me a little bit about. So, what I mean by this is, what should I say? I want to say, tell me a little bit about. Is there not so much Shady area, but the stigma around going back to the area, because you live there, now you live there again?
Yeah.
So tell me about that a little bit.
I was kind of nervous to go back because they say you're not supposed to go back to the area you were in. So I was very nervous, but you pretty much just got to change the people you hang out with, the places you go, the things that you do. And it's hard. It's hard. But it's if you want it and you just work for it, things start to fall into place. That's what my experience has been. Yeah.
just question on kind of what you just said. You said they say you shouldn't go back. Who is that?
Like when I was in rehab and like detox and even DRC, like it's suggested that you don't go back to the area where you were using it. But I had a place there. My child is there. So it was kind of hard for me not to go back there. So it can be done. It's just, and a lot of people like you to wait like a year or whatever. But it can be done. It's just you just have to change everything pretty much, and it is hard, but it can be done.
I'll say I'm pre-diabetic, but I mean, they say if you're diabetic, right?
Right.
But the diet, the things you can do are definitely different, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So it's definitely, he can eat what he wants, but I can't. You know
Right.
what I mean?
Yeah.
It's just one of those things. But you learn to deal with it.
Right. Exactly.
In a certain way, you learn to deal with that. And this, a lot of times, why? Because it's just different complications you could have if I did it, right? Kind of like eating disorders and stuff like that. Like I told you, addictions, eating disorders, different things like that. People see, those things, and people watch, people, but you start to see. I don't watch it much, but I mean, when you see on TV some of the things, people struggle with, but it's a lot of emotional things. They struggle with as well, and how to deal with those things.
Yeah,
right.
Mental health has a lot to do with it.
Of course,
mental health.
And that's what we talked about all the time. There's more, but I did want to ask you because you, like I said, you're younger, so I did want to. And he's young too, but I always act like he ain't, but he is young too. I think really he is. But tell me about mental health. How was it as far as, was it frowned upon in your era, which you usually mean right now? Was it frowned upon, or was it something you knew about?
No, I mean, I'm not gonna say it was frowned upon, but it was something I definitely didn't know about. I come from I'm gonna say a black household. There ain't such a thing as no mental health.
Well, see, that's what I'm saying.
No,
you're right. No, you're right.
Seriously, though. So, but I just feel like we didn't really realize what mental health was. Not in my era.
Right.
And I'm like you said, I'm still kind of young.
Yeah.
So no, I definitely know, but nobody realized it. Like I don't know.
Do you believe it would have helped?
Yeah, definitely. I feel like
Would have helped you
as
far as to get that.
It would have, because I've been showing out for a long time. You get what I'm saying? Like coming from as a teenager, just looking for things in love. It's always that, I'm not gonna say an excuse, but looking for men and a father inside of a man.
Yeah.
You get what I'm saying?
Right. No, you're right.
Stuff like that. And that was my issue, just wanting to be outside and run away. And I had a loving mother. My grandma went hard for me.
Right.
And everybody went hard for me. I chose that route. Seeking my father being in prison.
Right.
You get what I'm saying? So, I feel like it really would have helped to have that.
Your grandmother, does she talk to you now?
Yeah, we still talk, but
now I'm gonna talk about the grandmother you still hear her.
Yeah, I do.
The things that so trying to steer you out when you ain't ready to listen at that time. You know what I mean? And that's the thing. And I think a lot of people kind of face that as well.
And that's how they saying it too. You gotta think about it. It ain't just trying to steer it. Girl, you better,
See,
it wasn't
the delivery. And I think delivery is the big thing. I know people, because like I said, for my parents are old school, and people are, they ain't really worried about the delivery. It's just gonna be what it is. You gonna have to deal with it. You always, even your grandfather, rest in peace. Even he gonna say it the way he gonna say it. This is the way it is. I mean, that's right. That's the way it is. That's the way it is. And while we laugh, but sometimes it does need to change. Some of it does need to change. Just like I was telling you about, about recovery and how we speak about the language of it, right? Yeah. Addicts or people suffering from substance abuse issues, right? A lot of times those things, that's not wordplay, that's real.
Oh yeah.
But some people don't, see it that way. And I just really don't want anyone to keep carrying the stigma of what it is, because you never want to put someone on an island where they're alone, right? Because then that's when, things, kind of feel like, oh man, that's why I think, what you both do is great, because you bring it to the forefront. But now we sit here at the table. It ain't, we separate because we sitting on this side, y'all sitting on that side. But it ain't like it's still one table. It's still one table. It's not, separated from that. And I think that's the biggest thing. And that's why I see you at different events and things like that. It's one table. It doesn't, because we all have to do it together.
Right.
And that's a great thing.
piggybacking all that in a way, I love conversations like this because it gives me the opportunity to be better at what I do.
Yeah.
So kind of as he said earlier, one place that we do go, it's a faith-based rehabilitation program. So I just want to hear y'all's like methods and things that y'all go through when interacting with an individual that you're trying to get reestablished into the workforce and things like that. Because it is definitely a thing that pops up a lot for myself. And then like interview questions or how should I structure my resume, like
Right.
things like that pop up a whole lot where it's just that knowledge factor of not knowing how to, but wanting to do it the right way.
Right.
I just want to hear both of y'all's thoughts.
And what was the question?
I'm sorry. Just like thoughts on like how you operate on their like just recommendations you have, like say
Right.
an individual has like a large gap in employment, like
Right.
how to answer questions about that, or like how to structure that on a resume or something.
Or how do you be grandma in 2026?
Well, I
How do
think
you say?
everybody's situation is different. So
Right.
pretty much at first, I would just ask what their needs are. Like, what do you need a license? Do you have, a place to stay? Do you have transportation and things like that? And just kind of find out on an individual basis what they need in their certain, situation, and then kind of go from there and just, kind of try to navigate through what they need and trying to help them with that.
Yeah, and elaborate on that.
Yeah.
I just always got to make sure that they're going to be consistent.
Yeah.
That's my biggest thing. That's the first question I ask. Are you going to be consistent? Because if you ain't ready, don't drag me down this hole. And about 3 weeks later, you talk about you don't want to.
So I'm gonna put you on the spot.
Yeah.
I'm gonna put you on the spot with this question. I need a job though. Isn't that always something you always hear
Yeah.
first?
Oh yeah,
Even though you just said about 10 other things.
yeah,
But in my mind, I need a job.
Yeah.
But we got to build to those things.
Yeah,
Right,
as well.
yeah.
Not saying I don't want you to work,
Yeah.
right, yeah,
but we need to. But we don't think. A job. Sometimes when we messing up or whatever, we had a job.
Right?
Yeah.
That wasn't the job. Wasn't the problem. It was
Right.
our thinking. While we
Exactly.
did have the job, right?
Yeah.
And what was you? So just breaking something down to someone would be great. But like you said, it's the delivery of it is a big thing.
oh yeah,
We just don't. It's not taught like that. And even me as a parent, right? I got to understand that. About how I deliver, information to my kids as well. Sometimes, it's a big thing because I don't know. I yelled at. I'm just gonna tell you. I ain't saying when I tell you this, I ain't damaged by it or like it, but I did. You pick up these things when you see them, right?
Oh, yeah.
And I'm loud anyway.
Yeah.
So you know what I mean? So it's like, and then when they don't do, I try to be soft spoken at first,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? But then you're like, hold on, man, this ain't clicking.
right,
But still, you still have to have a delivery, you know what I mean, as well. My son, he records a lot of stuff all the time, right? And then he plays it back. And it sounds way different.
Yeah.
Oh,
When you
yeah.
hear it back,
Yeah,
you know what I
yeah,
mean, or whatever,
yeah.
it sounds way different. So definitely delivery matters, right?
oh yeah.
And also, definitely. And so real quick, so tell me, like he was, kind of expanding on talking to people, right? What happens? I mean, when you do have a resistant person who feels, I whatever you say is fine, but I want a job. How do you redirect that part?
Also, I mean that we're going to assess them on what they need at that point. You don't need no car right now. You good. You got your transportation. You straight. You need a job.
Right.
All right. I'm gonna give you the resource to the job, but not only do that, I'm gonna take you to go, or I'm gonna go with you to make sure you get. We're gonna do some following up together.
That's
So
good.
Yeah.
that's what we offer within our program
That's
too.
good.
We're making sure people are being held accountable for what they
Yeah.
do, and that's some of the stuff that they don't like because they feel like we be in their business all the time. But I have to explain them, like, we're not in your business. We're just trying to push you forward.
That's
And
right.
that's it. I'm trying to push you like I wish somebody had pushed me back in 2019.
Right.
Yeah. You see what I'm
That's
saying?
right. And he was talking about accountability partner, something I heard.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Today,
here's your word,
accountability partner, that's a great thing. I mean, I really do believe that. I mean, that's a great thing when you hear that accountability partner, how that helps.
Oh,
I mean,
yeah.
that really is. That helps. A lot of people call that a friend too.
Oh yeah,
Because, you can have a friend, but then you got a friend. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Somebody that's going to call you on
Right.
stuff that you doing. You be like, oh,
that's a
God,
true friend.
I'll talk to you
Yeah.
later. I ain't want to hear that.
Yeah.
But then I go back. That's kind of right. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But that's the thing. And sad, I always talk about having people around you, like, that
Oh,
know your struggles, don't get me wrong, but also can kind of call you on something as well.
Yeah.
In the delivery that, it depends on what level you're on. You know what I mean?
Right.
It depends on that, but still definitely calling you on it.
Oh,
And I think that's a lot of times, what people struggle with. I mean, right? I mean, is that
Oh, yeah.
and not only in recovery, just in getting out in reentry as well,
Yeah.
because you meet, that mindset, right? I mean, that mindset has to change in some ways.
Yeah.
And then sometimes, like I said before, it's all I know, right?
Yeah.
I never forget, my cousin, they did some years in prison, and I seen him, and I hadn't seen him, but I knew that's where he was. But, he told me, on the street corner right up here in town, he's like, see, this is all I know. You know what I mean? I said, but there are other ways.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, and that's the thing. While I say that, what do I have to offer him? Right. I mean, it's what I always think in my own mind. What do I have to offer him? So that it made me, kind of inspire me to have, try to change too. As far as that, I know we deal with kids a lot, but we deal with parents too because the kids got parents.
Right,
I mean, we do so a lot of times too. So having places to go. Like yourselves, like just a bunch of felons Inc. is a great thing.
Yeah.
Because that's what it takes. Like I said before, it's going to take all these partnerships. It's going to take all these relationships, right? To build up this community as well. Tell me a little bit about. I know we talked about a little bit about your future things and what you want to do, but tell me a little bit about as far as you have an office yet or how's
Not yet. I don't have one yet, and
Okay.
I feel like it's important, but not as important if people are still allowing me to use that space for us to utilize our program.
Right.
At the end of the day,
Right.
We're definitely looking forward to getting one, but like you said, it takes money. Nothing's free, and I get a lot of backlash still about the name. A lot of people came to me and told me that I should change the name, but I feel like if the word felon makes you uncomfortable, just imagine having to tack it onto you for 7, 8 years.
Right.
You get what I'm saying? So I'm like,
Right.
I deal with this word every day,
Right.
and now it's time to show y'all that
Yeah.
us felons. Just a bunch of felons. We just a bunch of felons trying to get right. We just a bunch of felons
Right.
trying to make
Right.
it.
It's the mission.
Yeah, it's the
statement.
mission
It's the mission statement, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that's what I mean. Really, that's what they want to. I mean, when you turn in grants and stuff like that, they want to know. I got your name, but they want to know what is your mission, right?
Yeah.
I mean, and a lot of times as a nonprofit, you need to stick to it.
Yeah.
That's why I said that being kind of partner up with different different organizations is good because, like I said before, we deal with a lot of children, right? So it's kind of but we still do different things as well, like outreach to other people as well. Don't get me wrong, but that's a lot of what it takes, like you said before. And now, have you been looking into the grant writing and things of that nature? Now, how's that going?
Now, GPT done taught me some things. Okay, I go in and change a couple of words, but it's really built my my etiquette. For me to be able to speak and stuff like that. So I have a grant writer though, and she
see, that's what I'm saying. That's a big key.
Yeah, she helps me through everything.
That's
Like
a big key.
we had did one. I started one on my own
Right.
about a week or two ago, and
Yeah.
I went through. I filled everything out, and I sent it to her. And that's what I did. And I said, "You look at it. You tell me what I need to do wrong." She sent it back. Everything was red. You need to fix this, and this.
Right.
But I need that. So
Of course.
that she's helping me along the way, so I can be able to write my own grants.
Right.
And I feel like that's awesome to have somebody that's not trying to smother and hold on to what she only knows. She's like, hey, this is how you do it.
And I want to tell you before we leave, and we'll meet again, but tell you, about Good Stack and a couple of different places. It's a nonprofit network where you can go in it, you can see what grants that are for you in your area. We just recently signed up for it, but I mean, all these things are free, but there's things that we need. I mean,
Right.
you need these resources in order to keep going. I mean, that's the thing. It's like it's a lot out there, right? It's just what avenue, right, that you're in. I mean, I'd have to talk to you about that too, but because I don't know. Ours is kind of like education, big brothers, big sisters. That's what our federal, where we have our 501c3 through. Right. So so it's just different work. It's different, like I said, avenues when it comes to that. And that's what it takes. Reaching out. I'm sure the things you tell me too. That's the thing about it. We always trying to grow and do different things. But it takes to sit down and talk about these things as well. Not always on air, but still on the air, whatever. Whatever. I was gonna talk to you regardless. Like I said, for being young and being doing this is something that it takes a lot of. It takes a lot of time, takes a lot of patience. But it takes a lot. Sometimes the door to be closed, but that doesn't mean another one can't be opened.
That's right.
And that's what we see even in our own lives. And we don't know why it's being closed. Maybe there's a reason why.
Oh yeah.
And that's the thing. So it's one of those things you keep on going, and So tell me one before we leave about substance abuse issues. Are you linking up with maybe some of those grants? Possibly.
I haven't. When I first started, I wasn't only for the felons, but it was just that's what that was just what I was seeking. But then I realized that they got the same stigma we do.
Right.
So I was like, why not reach out? But we have been looking at drug abuse and some type of grants that they do
Right.
have, but they don't have any available right now. at
Right,
the moment.
right.
So,
And that's it's going to be combing through and looking, looking at those things as well. I'm gonna give you about a couple of different things because it's a couple to get some help actually, for looking up grants and things like that. Because you need, like I said, you need those things with nonprofits. I mean, that's what a basis of what it runs off of is definitely resources and people to help as well. People want to kind of help those things as well. So it is help out there, but like I told you, I wouldn't want to lie to you. It does take money.
Yeah.
But it does. I don't know how much, but it does take money, or whatever. But
oh
yeah, and it does. It's just like I said before, but it takes what you have, that determination, that will to get out there and do it, right? And then have people willing to do that as well. But if they see you doing it, trust me, they're gonna want to do it as well. And that's the thing. When we speak about things, and like when we go out places as well. And see, and sometimes it's not a big reception. Don't get me wrong. We have a reading initiative, right? TSK Learns, and it's a lot of people that are suffering from, but I think a lot of it is, and it's not no knock on them, but who wants to go and say they can't read, man?
Right.
Who wants to go, in a program? And but at first I'm thinking to myself, well, shoot, they don't dive into this. They didn't. But I know why now, because on the backside of that, nobody wants to say that, what I mean? And I'm not wanting you to either, but I don't want you to be struggling and not even be able to read an intro or anything, right? Because you cut off from that, right? You're cut off from all those things, and that's a lot of times and I ain't gonna say that's what causes people to do the things they do, but a lot of times the lack of the knowledge of things other than that, right? Because there's audio stuff you can read, listen to now, and different things like that. Some people just have a lot of issues when it comes to reading and things like that, but. And no knock on schools here or anything, but how it is.
Oh yeah.
How it is, man. It's just one of those things where, if you don't know it, you don't know it. You're 18, you can barely read.
Yeah, makes it rough.
It does. Yeah. It does. So that's why all these things go together to make one.
Right.
That's what we're trying to do as well. So like I said, this is gonna wrap us up today. But like I said, I appreciate you coming up. Like I said, we'll keep on talking. Like I said, on air is fine, but I'd like to talk, and definitely get it out there. I suggest I know you haven't thought about it, but pray on it. You doing one, just getting that information out as well. Like I said, I ain't saying you got to tell your story, but I'm sure there's many people that are willing to tell their story.
I really want to.
That really, I think it is. Just to relate. Really. Relate to it in fact, because it's always something because we see the gossip and stuff like that as well. We see what I know tea is that what but you see that right? But what about this informational positive tea that we could give to someone? I think that's a big key as well. It may not get as many likes and follows, but it's going to hit the right person at the right time, and I believe that. So like I said, I want to thank you all for being here. Miss Moore, Miss Basham, I thank you all for being here. Like I said, come on anytime. Like I said, if you got any events you got coming up or whatever that you're spearheading, let me know. We can have you on. We can talk about it. We can push it out there as well. Awesome. But you're always welcome. And that's you're always welcome. And I want you to understand. But I really commend you all for the work you do. Thanks. I really do. And that's why I wanted to, like I said, have you on. Like I said, and celebrate you as well. Okay. This will end Collective Konversations for the day. We'll be on possibly twice next week. I'll be sending out all the notices as well. But I want to thank you all for attending and hopefully see you next week. Thanks.
Thank you.
That wasn't near as bad as I thought.